Welcome to my first Living Legacy segment. Today I have the honor of speaking with someone whose story is nothing short of extraordinary. Her name is Moka, and she's a poet, a fierce advocate, and a radiant light in seriously every room that she enters. She was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, and I'll let her explain a little bit about what that is.
Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome is a connective tissue disorder that has severely impacted my life. With it being a connective tissue disorder, it can impact everything from your joints and dislocations to your organs. It can be completely systemic. It can show up and manifest differently in people. The form that I have primarily presents itself within my internal organs. When I was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, first of all, I was never really expecting to be diagnosed with something that was incurable. I was never prepared to hear that or receive that type of news, which was really scary and disheartening. But I also, all the literature I had read at the time, the average life expectancy for someone with kyphoscoliotic Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is 38. I am here and I'm thriving. Yeah. I'm gonna make it to 39. Yes. So we're gonna do this again next year.
So that clip was from her recent birthday party, and as she explained, that's a condition that when she first started researching, it was thought to have a life expectancy often capped at 38 years old, and we just celebrated her 38th birthday surrounded by her loved ones. And while we now know that the life expectancy for those with this condition can be much higher, I just think reaching this milestone is a poignant reminder of her strength, resilience, and the progress in care and understanding. And Mocha's journey is a testament to seriously living boldly and finding joy and building a legacy really etched in the hearts of everyone she meets. So in this conversation, we'll explore what it means to live as a living legacy now that she navigates the complexities of anticipatory grief while embracing life's fullest moments and the profound lessons she's gathered along the way. But before we dive into our discussion, I had the chance to speak with many of Mocha's closest friends and family at her recent birthday celebration, and I want to share how she was described by those closest to her. So let's go ahead and take a look. Alrighty, and how would you guys describe Mocha in one word or a couple words?
Moka is magnificent.
Vibrant.
Vibrant.
Fierce in everything she does. Her joy and delight.
Amazing.
Moka is the ultimate adventurous, loving soul. Very inclusive.
Wild. Goddess.
Adventurous.
Friend, great ski buddy.
Sister. Fabulous. Enlightening.
I would describe my sister Moka as strong and resilient.
She's stunning. Insanely positive.
Adventurous. And a fellow triathlete. Sunshine.
Pure and genuine is Moka. Adventurous.
I love it.
Margie.
Outrageous.
She learns the hard way not to slam doors.
She's funny. She's a warrior. Lively.
Elegant. Resilient. I'm genuine.
Crazy.
Just bold.
Amazing.
Mocha, super fun, super energetic.
Beautiful, bubbly energy.
Mocha is just inspiring.
She's definitely genuine.
My go-to dance partner.
Mocha is the best neighbor and super feisty.
Funky and fun-loving.
Firecracker.
The best cartoon character you've ever seen.
Loving and energetic.
Very outgoing and fun.
Joyous.
Stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Life of the party.
Always a good time. One of my favorite daughter-in-laws.
Contagious, vibrant, bubbly. She brightens up any room, space. Her energy is just magnetic.
Describe Moka as lively. She just brightens up every room she goes into.
Describing Moka in a few words, outgoing, the life of the party.
Moka's fucking fantastic. Creative and silly, and she's like no filter. No filter. Moka's is no filter, and I like that.
I love it.
I think I would describe my mom as strong, obviously, and also very funny because she always knows how to light up a room, and she also always perseveres and always pushes through.
Moka is ambitious, feisty, and determined to do whatever she wants. Don't get in her way, that's for sure.
Yeah, so you're the first person down here easing into it, and so I'm so happy you're here. So welcome to Legacy Anecdotes. This is Moka Best. Where do you get your name?
Moka actually means, so it's Moka in like Hawaiian.
Okay.
And it means away from the ocean and towards the mountains.
Interesting. And
Yeah,
do you
which
know
is
where
like
that
kind
name
of
came from? Like where did you get the inspiration?
No.
He's like, this is pretty
It's
good.
just, I don't know, just one of a kind. It's interesting because I, like my whole life, I grew up, in the ocean, and I identify as a mermaid. Now
As
I'm a
you should.
landlocked mermaid.
Just own it as a whole.
And so I grew up in Maryland at the beach, and we moved away from the ocean and towards the mountains. And so
When did you move
Yeah.
to Utah?
I was just almost 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for some reference, Moka, I've like been like all of this morning when I've been prepping for you to get over here, I've just been like, you've been with me for like podcasts you've done. So she's done another podcast, and then you have that YouTube channel. And so I was just listening to the YouTube channel and watching that video while I was getting ready. And so you're here in person now, but I've been with you all morning. And
I'm in the flesh.
you're now in the flesh, and we get to dig a little bit deeper. But I met Moka at a party just a couple weeks ago for her birthday party. You just turned 38, which is big milestone. And so I have a couple questions I want to ask you just to dive in. They're like simple, very superficial questions, but I think they're important ones. Okay, so
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Where do you get your coffee from?
Starbucks.
What's your go-to drink?
Caramel frappuccino, half sweet, coconut milk, and extra shot.
Wow.
But my name at Starbucks is actually Taylor. I always end up like with Mocha in my coffee, and I hate
my
it. I
gosh.
actually hate it.
So your name's Taylor. So there's nothing,
Like
no
anytime
confusion.
I've done like an online order and like picked up, like Mocha gets printed out on like the thing, and I think they're just moving so fast. And
They're like, okay, she
Yeah.
wants mocha and her coconut milk. What is your go-to karaoke song?
oh gosh. Okay, I am the worst with like celebrity names and like song titles or movie titles. I also am horrible at memorizing lyrics, but I will sing anything and make up my own words and
Just march
own it
singing
with
your own
like
tune.
confidence.
Because you were saying after any of your treatments, there's the song "Glorious," right? I am
Uh-huh.
glorious. That's like your go-to song.
Well,
right?
okay, yeah. So that's actually like Glorious by Macklemore and Rise Up by Andra Day are like my OR songs.
Mhm. Like your pump up.
Yeah, so like a little known fact, you can actually request songs for the OR.
Really?
Yeah.
Like when you're under anesthesia?
Well, like going in.
Okay.
Yeah, like so when they're prepping you and whatever, I've always asked for like a song to be playing. It just helps like calm
Yeah.
nerves
And ground you to
yeah,
where
but
you
I
are.
like also I feel like raise their vibrations too, and maybe connect to me on like a human level instead of just like another patient on the table.
Yeah, like this is who I am. Like listen to these
Mhm.
words. This is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
Amelia Earhart.
And do you know why?
Yeah, I think she's the total baddie. She's
Yeah.
so brave and courageous, especially in the era in which she lived in, and
Was
to do
male-dominated.
something, yeah, and to just do something so bold that nobody thought she could do or that a woman could do. Like, I really admire that.
Yeah, a true trailblazer.
Yeah, yeah.
What about one thing you can't live without?
One thing, well, coffee.
Obviously. I mean, how else are we supposed to keep the high vibrations when there are other people around, right? You gotta have
Oh my gosh.
have something to feed off of.
Yes, absolutely. I love coffee. Adventure.
Yeah.
It would definitely be adventure, adrenaline.
And I was listening to a YouTube video where you guys went and did like that camping trip at Powell. Was it Powell that you guys went to? So with a spot you haven't been to yet, what would you say is your dream vacation?
Oh, okay. Well, that is like a really long bucket list. Dream vacation. So I definitely love I mean, we camp a lot, and I love like outdoorsy, rugged, like I don't know, like I'm a bit of a dirtbag in that sense.
Yeah, just embracing
I
the mess.
also, yeah, like, and I just something that feels so comforting, you know, just being in nature and away from, like, it feels safe. It feels like home. It feels free, like liberating.
Yeah.
I also really love the spa though, and the Ritz-Carlton.
Yes. My go-to is the Waldorf Astoria, just because of the historical ties there. I love a good 5-star hotel.
Yeah. So I like honestly think dream vacation, like I would love to do just a world trip where it's like a balance of totally being immersed in culture, you know, like not just the big cities, like in the country, like helping, I don't know, milk like a local villager's goats and like so, like I just the craziest things, you know, like
that you
really
just like once in a lifetime experiences.
Yeah,
But
like
also have the balance of being able to just chill out and rejuvenate in paradise.
Yeah.
Are you big into books?
Yes. I always start a book. I never finish a book because I like end up reading 5 books at one time.
I'm the same way. I mean,
Yeah.
just look at my bookcase over there. You look at all this stuff. And you're like, oh my gosh. So what is the ultimate book? If nothing recent, what's your go-to book to read?
I love just self-help and like things that help me as a person and individual grow.
Yeah.
And reading different perspectives and just really taking like lessons that people have learned and their insights and wisdom that they're sharing through their journeys and life and experience and studies, and just trying to apply that into my life and become a better person. I mean, I definitely love like, I don't know, like Harry Potter, like getting lost in stories like that too, and using my imagination.
That you can still draw lessons from.
You
can draw lessons from anything. And that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this project is because people will say like, oh, history doesn't matter, history, who cares about it? But there's so many lessons to be pulled from it.
Yeah, if we lose history, we're losing
crazy
a lot.
Stuff. There's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And with the high vibrations, what's your go-to, like, what's your spirit animal?
Oh, a spirit animal?
Mm-hmm.
It's, I mean, like, totally made up.
What would you call it? The Moka,
It's a slothicorn.
What is it?
A sloth and a unicorn.
A slothicorn. To balance the sleepiness and then balance the mystical wonder.
Like, yeah.
So what is the best piece of advice you've received at this point in time? And that's a big one. That is like, there's a lot that can be taken from life. So maybe we'll narrow it down. In the past week or month, what's the best advice you've gotten? Or applied in your own life?
People are only going to give you the amount of respect that you give yourself.
I value that. Because if you don't hold yourself to a higher standard, then what are you giving to? What are you giving back? What are people giving back to you?
Yeah.
What about guilty pleasure snack?
Guilty pleasure snack? Well, I take just about anything right now.
Because you're kind of stuck with this too right now, right?
Yeah. And I'm really kind of limited in like what I can eat, and everything that I eat makes me sick to some degree. Yeah. But the thing that I can kind of tolerate right now, it's like more starches, like simple, like carbs.
And your fries?
So yeah, fries are okay. I can eat tolerate more fries. But then also like the Trader Joe Takis.
Oh my gosh. I haven't had those.
What?
I love anything from Trader Joe's.
Okay, I have some in the car. You have to try them before I leave.
Sounds amazing. I have to try. I love anything from Trader Joe's. I'm so biased.
It's they're like Takis, but they're from Trader Joe's.
Spicy?
Sort of.
Okay.
I mean, I like spice and heat, so like I'm
not
like,
me. Not my white ass. I'm so like I can barely tolerate salsa. It's crazy.
Okay, so maybe just try a little
I'll
bite.
enjoy it, and I'll just bring my drink with me to like pound it. I can barely handle the talking.
Some milk.
Do you have any hidden talents?
Hidden talents. I can turn I can put my legs behind my head like. We're not doing that.
No, not on camera. Not on camera.
Yeah.
Cool.
But that goes with like the hypermobility.
Yeah, that's one of the small perks of any. Okay, so your perfect day in 3 words. How would you describe it?
Adrenaline filled, adrenaline dash filled. That counts as fun.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
That's one.
Laughter, like belly aching, cheeks hurting,
Yeah.
laughter.
Can barely breathe.
Yeah.
On the verge of throwing up.
Yeah. Yep. Can't stand up because you're laughing so hard. And community.
Now, you shared a lot of really interesting. I printed it off for me, but I was lucky enough to get a deep dive into Moka's brain in terms of the poetry and journal entries and YouTube posts, Instagram posts. True, like I did a deep dive.
So lucky. Like I told you, I have not even shared some of that with my husband.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing reading. I was just like looking through it. I'm like, you wrote this. You know, like these are poems that you wrote. How long have you been writing poetry for?
So, I mean, I have like a lot of just like random thoughts and things that I write. Sometimes I don't like, maybe over the past 5 years or so, like since I was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos, like I am a very creative person. I live in a very like type A world and what I do every day. And you know, just continuing to have limitations of what my body can do, or like I just need an outlet. Like I need a creative outlet. And so I just started, you know, writing, and it was just kind of like my, like, I don't know, like thought vomit, like onto paper. Yeah. And then I was like, wait,
I can do something.
I could make this so much more beautiful, you know, and using my words, it could have like multiple meanings and hit like differently and maybe connect to other people. But I don't really I mean, it's really just for me.
Personal. Yeah. But in one of the you wrote one called Where the Ocean Meets the Sky. And in one of the paragraphs, it says,
I found peace in the wild, untamed, where silence reigns and nothing's named. Hours stretched where no one's near, just earth's pulse, steady, calm, sincere. This raw expanse breathes This raw expanse breathes life anew, restoring my heart, my spirit, my view.
And so you've written about finding peace in the wild, untamed parts of life. What does wildness mean to you, and how do you embody it?
Wildness to me...
That's also the way you described yourself in one of the words.
Yeah.
Wild at heart.
Yeah. It's being my true, authentic self, and showing up in my life and with others who I am, not who the world wants me to be. I am a very deep feeler.
Yeah. And that probably embodies the empathy that you can feel towards other people and makes it easier for you to connect with people.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
And in your poetry, with that theme of interconnectedness, you talk a lot about being interconnected with people. Like the roots of aspens, that's one that you mentioned. So how has this idea influenced how you approach relationships and community in your own life? You mentioned like how you are with your tribe. You have a tribe, right? That's what the group chat name is. So what is the importance of having that interconnectedness to you?
So, I guess going back to the aspens, it's a poem I wrote in 2020, right before I had a renal auto transplant. And I crossed over after surgery.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Because I listened to it, and you mentioned like you were kind of like a dream-like state. You thought you had a dream. Was that
I literally thought, yeah. It wasn't until like several weeks after my surgery that I had realized what had happened. They had given me ketamine. There was like fentanyl. There was like anesthesia, and it was
so you didn't
really
know if you were just
intense.
in a drug-induced dream or what?
Yeah, and like coming out of that, you know, and all like the pain meds and everything I was on, like after post-op, like I was kind of drugged for a couple of weeks. I mean, I was in the hospital for like a little over a week, 9 days, 10 days. And so it was probably a week or so after we had gotten home And I was telling my husband about this dream that I thought I had had. And he hadn't told me all the details yet, or like, what Dr. Z had shared with them, and what had gone on in like the operating room. And, because he had ruptured, one of my arteries ruptured in the OR, like as he was closing me up. And, so, I'm telling my husband, he spared me these details and just trying to make sure I focus on recovery. And I'm describing it as a dream, and I'm telling him, word for word and this is during COVID.
Yeah, so this is 2020, about 4 years ago.
Yeah, and so he was not even in the hospital. Like he was sitting in the car in like the parking lot. And everybody's super distanced, and it's very like minimal who can come in the hospital and when and how, and so like so controlled. And so I'm telling him about this conversation the nurse is having with him and how she's never seen anything like this. Like I'm just not coming to, like my vitals are super low. Like they, aren't like, there's like no sign of life besides essentially like my heartbeat, and I was sitting with, this is like so spiritual. So like, sorry if this is not like what you believe in, but
I'm open to everything.
I'm the same way. And I think this experience has really like helped me to be very open to everything too. And still know I don't understand. Like, I don't have the answers. I don't know, but like, I'm open to receive, sitting over kind of like my body, with my spirit guide, who I've come to discover as my great aunt Wilhelmina.
Interesting.
And she's like explaining to me like if I'm ready, like I can I can be done. Like I can be done with the pain, like, but I wasn't needed for whatever comes next.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I had the choice to come back, like I could stay or go. And, I'm telling my husband what this nurse is telling him and what he's saying in the car. And I could hear him like crying and pleading for me to come back and don't leave him yet. And it's like, it's the weirdest thing. Like I'm like, well, Dave is pretty worried. Like I should probably go.
I should probably head back. Maybe it's time to go back to my body. I don't know.
Yeah. And so like, and I had influence and power like in that decision to decide like if I died or not, like if I stayed or left, like, and and I was just like, well, my husband's like really worried. I don't think he's ready for me yet to go. I'll see you later. Bye.
So we were talking about aspens, and that's where that was the original point in the interconnectedness.
Yeah, so
we just got on a tangent.
That happens all the time.
I'm the same way.
You're gonna have to keep like steering me back.
That's what the cards are for, so that we can like make sure like the conversation goes through. It ends rather than being
the thoughts in my brain are like.
That's the way.
So it was before that surgery, like the day before. We took a drive up into the mountains. And we were like, it was so cute. He brought like an inflatable mattress and he like pumped it up in the back of the truck and blankets and pillows. And we just like sat and held each other like, and we were just watching the aspens, like the trees, like swaying in the wind and the leaves like fluttering and the sun shining throughout. Like I've always been so intrigued by aspens.
Yeah,
I think they're beautiful. It's
like a whole
stunning.
network system.
Exactly. And as we were driving, I was sitting there enjoying them and just really admiring them. And then we were driving, heading home. And there was like a river or a creek that, where water runs down. It was kind of dried up and you could see like all of the root systems. That's so cool. Like where all of the, ground had eroded. Yeah. And it just really had me thinking like the similarities and support, like, the roots of this like giant living organism, these aspens, it's like their veins, their blood vessels
that you can literally see.
And how they just are all supporting each other, like from the little like baby aspens to like these beautiful tall giants, and they're all essentially one. And all of the support that I had and these surgeries and like the health that I'm dealing with, a lot of vascular compressions. And so that was kind of like the parallel to the roots in the vascular system in my mind. And then the support, you know, that they all like provide each other, like that was my community. That's been my girlfriends, my neighbors, my coworkers, my bosses, my like
stepped up when you
everybody.
haven't had that energy.
Yeah, and held me and carried me through. And so that was like really the tie and like to aspen trees, and I think why I love them so much.
That's beautiful. I love that. It's amazing when you can find an analogy, and I think that's why I know I'd connect with you, is because there's like, we think similarly. I think as soon as I started, you know, as I met you at the party, and as soon as I started hearing about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, Moka's my kind of person. And you're my mom's kind of person too, which I think is amazing.
Love your mom. Every time we hug, we like cry.
I know. I took this video. I'll send you of you guys hugging at the party. It's so sweet. And let's talk about living fully, because you just mentioned, like, you know, floating up off your body. Like you've literally had that moment of where you could easily pass on. With all these experiences, all these reminders of living fully, and I've heard a lot about savoring the small moments. Can you tell me or us about a seemingly ordinary moment that you found profound joy in?
Yeah. So there's so many.
I
think like 99% of our lives are like the mundane, ordinary daily tasks, right? We get up, we eat breakfast, we take a shower, we take the kids to school.
We take naps, like Hera sleeping on the
like just hold this cute little puppy, like.
I love her. She's just napping while we talk away.
Literally just met her. I didn't have any treats, like no peanut butter. She's like, you're my
She's
jam.
like, you're mine.
I own you.
Exactly, your lap is mine.
You can have it. I will give it to you. I think it's just like really fully embracing and enjoying those moments. Like it's not the vacations, it's not the, you know, graduation days, which are all amazing and phenomenal, but like if you can, you know, play games at your kitchen table or a puzzle, or turn on music and dance with your family in the kitchen, and like just whatever, like jam out in the car, you know, like that is like, I think part of fully living or embracing such an ordinary thing, and just really savoring those moments, like listening to your kids. Like the fact that my kids want to tell me everything, I'm like, I don't ever want to lose that.
Yeah.
You know, I try to listen so intently, and I try to help guide and give wisdom or insight, but also know when to just let them vent. And that's like, I know they're teenagers, so you never really know.
Do you have 3 or 4 kids?
So 4 kids, yeah, 2 at home.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah.
And you and your husband have been married how many years?
10. We just celebrated 10 years.
So exciting.
Yeah.
And I mean, that man is phenomenal. Like listening to him speak, he sounds like
Oh
amazing.
my gosh, he could barely speak.
I know,
He
but
was
it
like
was so
he doesn't really get emotional very often. I think he is emotional, he just doesn't show it and
Yes,
express
he's protective
it.
of his emotions.
Which he's been like brought up to be, right?
Yeah.
And so
Especially in our culture.
Exactly. That's like what our society and world tells, especially men, you know? And I think, so seeing him get emotional in front of so many people was really tender.
It really was. That was a really wholesome moment.
She is absolutely the strongest person I know. I don't know anybody, I do not know anybody else who could do this. She literally fights every day. Every day. And I cherish every moment. So, thank you.
What values or philosophies have helped guide you through the most challenging moments in your life?
I think integrity, and really staying true to my beliefs, whether it's the popular vote or not.
And you're very open-minded. So how has
Yeah.
that kind of guided you through these instances?
You know, I think being as open-minded and having an open heart and being so open to receiving, I think one of like the benefits of that is that people like tend to typically feel like very safe and they have a place to belong.
Yeah.
When they're around me, and I want people to feel like they're safe and have a place to belong, their thoughts, ideas, you know, their experiences, without having to sacrifice their dignity.
Yeah.
And one of those,
or their own personal opinions, and pivot to something that they don't actually believe in. They just want to protect their peace for.
Yeah.
That's an amazing way that I think we can all learn once in a while. If you could impart any lesson on somebody who's struggling to find their way or find their grounding with opinions, or just in life in general, what would you convey?
Other people's opinions of you don't matter. Like, the only person's opinion of you that matters is yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it's your own opinion that matters. And are you proud of the person that you are? Do you like the person that you are?
And I think the people around you really speak to who you are as a person, oftentimes.
Yeah.
Because you attract what you give out.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you don't like who you are, you got to think about who you're surrounding yourself with and change it all. And it's hard and it's lonely, and buckle up though. Like, it's worth it. It's worth
life,
it.
a lot of life is the lone sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I find a lot of lessons learned in those times of being alone. I find myself in that time. And you have to learn how to be alone to be your best self, I think.
1,000%.
It's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
And we did, as I've mentioned a couple times, we just celebrated your 38th birthday. And that is a significant milestone. Can you tell me a bit about how the life expectancy for EDS and that correlates?
Yeah. So when I was first diagnosed with EDS, and like the type of, I have kyphoscoliotic Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
And what does that mean exactly?
So EDS is I got issues with my tissues.
The connective tissue.
Yeah, connective tissues.
And I shouldn't be laughing about just the way she said issues with my tissues. So I'm not laughing at you.
It's fine. It was meant to be said funny.
Okay. One less day of getting canceled.
I mean, on the note of being a poet.
Issues with my tissues.
Yeah.
She's got her rhyming game on.
Yeah, so I have weak connective tissue, and so it can impact everything from like your joints, and dislocations and instability in your joints to your organs, your blood vessels, and things of that. I mean, it's like basically the glue that holds our entire body together. Yeah. So when I was first diagnosed with KEDS, all of the literature that I was, diving into and reading, and I was told like the average life expectancy is 38. And typically there's some sort of like vascular event that happens, that, most people would die from, with it being like some sort of like internal like organ or a rupture of an artery or things of that nature. And so it's maybe not quite as apparent that something deathly is going on
inside, because it's all inside.
Yeah. So, if an organ or an artery ruptures, or I guess more like specifically like an artery, you might not feel it. You might like just start to become like nauseous and really tired and cold. And by the time you get to a place where a hospital, like there's intervention, like medical intervention, it's, usually
too late.
Yeah. And so that was kind of like a reality I was trying to level set with.
Because how many years ago was it that you were diagnosed?
like 6 years ago, but it had taken me 9 or 10 years to
Because we should
receive a
mention
diagnosis.
she was training to be a professional triathlete.
No, I was a professional triathlete.
She was. You were training for the Olympics.
Yeah.
So she was training for the Olympics. She was a professional triathlete before all the myriad of health issues started.
Well, I was having a bunch of health issues. I just
faked
didn't.
it. You
no.
like skewed the results. That's what I was hearing, right?
Oh my god! Oh, with my coach.
With your coach.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, Moka.
Oh my gosh, I know. My coach was like, he's amazing. He was so incredible. But yeah, I was totally like masking and hiding everything that was going on. I mean, he had trained and coached and gone to the Olympics I think it was 2012 on the women's USA triathlon team. And so he interviewed me before he would take me on as an athlete. Like, I mean, he knew my goals. He wanted like VO2 max. Like, he wanted to know, like,
and he saw that in you.
He totally believed in me. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to let him down. I don't want to let myself down. Like, this isn't happening. like, I don't know why I can't put like a good training day or
basically gaslighting your body into being what's going on?
Was.
You need to just like get it together.
I totally was. I was like, I just need to ice bath more. Like, so, yeah. So that's what I was like training. And I think it was also really hard for me to receive a diagnosis because like, I mean, I was being gaslit by like doctors because they're like, no, you're healthy. Like, you're
There's nothing
young,
wrong with you.
healthy
Like, you did all the
athlete.
scans.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's like, well, you can't, because there's just no way to like, I mean, the awareness around EDS is like, it's growing.
How rare is this disease? It's a disease, right? Is that?
Yeah. I was born with it.
Mm-hmm.
And like it manifested, and I don't want to say everyone has growing pains. It was like EDS.
Yeah.
But like it kind of manifested more so when I was younger as like growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
But like really bad, and it wasn't just when I was growing. That's just what it was kind of called.
But you were gaslighting yourself even then, being like, "Oh, I'm just growing. I'm just getting taller." Whatever.
Yeah. Like I dislocated my shoulder playing softball. I dislocated my hip playing soccer. So I mean, I just have always been told like, oh, you're healthy, you're young, you play sports, like
You're
heal. Competing at this level. It's probably just overused. You're just tired, like, you know.
Yeah.
But it's considered rare. I think we're learning that it's probably not quite as rare as once thought, and
misdiagnosed.
Yeah, and understudied. And not everybody with EDS presents the same. Like right now, I think there's 13 different subtypes of EDS.
Okay.
Some are more severe and life-altering than others. All come with challenges, though. Like, I don't want to say like undermine or belittle anybody's experience with it.
Yeah.
It's awful. Like, and it impacts day-to-day.
The foundation of it
for
is the same.
everybody.
It's just variants of it.
We have very crappy connective tissue. Yeah.
Tissues with issues.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, they're kind of learning and discovering that it's not as rare, which, you know, is great because there's more education and research and awareness now around it. I was actually kind of excited. I was at the hospital 2 weeks ago. And one of the questions, like when I was checking in, you're like pre-registering.
Mm-hmm.
Now they ask if you have like type 1 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome.
That's amazing.
And I was like, what?
It says I'm represented on the hospital sheet?
Yeah, like it's like very few things like that they asked specifically about. And I was like, babe, look at what they're asking people for now.
Look, I'm famous.
So for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I'm literally famous at IMC.
I have EDS.
Oh my gosh.
I can check this box.
Like the building 2 at IMC, like radiology and whatever, like they know me there. Like I go to check in and the guy at the
You're a
desk
frequent
like,
flyer
hey,
for the hospital.
Yeah. Totally am.
But I was able to talk to almost everybody at this party. I was going around with my little camera, and I'll include clips, but I was going around just asking everybody, how would you describe Moka in a word or a couple words? And they all loved you, obviously. Like, that was a
Yeah, they better
magnificent.
have.
Yeah, showing up, not just for the free food. Like, come on. But they all talked about how you were the life of the party. Like, that was a common theme I got. Like, she's the life of the party. And you have the deepest impact on so many people around you. And I think that discussion of interconnectedness really, I can see that now. Just how connected you are with these people and how that outpouring of love at that event was just magnificent. I'm so grateful I was able to be a part of that. So how did it feel to reach that milestone of 38? And how did it, like, being surrounded by so much love, what was that experience like for you?
Okay,
Or
well,
what is it like?
so I
rather?
will say, like, studies have changed and everything too. And so now, like, the new average life expectancy is 48.
Okay, that's amazing. Does that give
So
hope to you? Do you feel hopeful about that?
I think I'll feel hopeful once I get through this year.
Because it's been a rough year.
Yeah, and I have some major surgeries ahead of me.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, I mean, really, I
Like
was
this
like,
next month?
around January, February, I
Okay.
think is when the time frame will be. We're still kind of sorting all of that out and making sure you have the right medical team in place. And it's a lot, and it's hard to navigate because there's not a lot of specialists who can care for me properly. So I felt a little premature celebrating for my 30th birthday.
Mhm.
And I was like, we should really be celebrating, like, partying at 39. Like, am I jinxing myself right now?
Was this your idea for the party then?
Yes, it was that. Well, my girlfriend was like, "Are you having a birthday party this year?" And I was like, "No, I don't really do birthday parties.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't like.
There comes a point where it's just like, whatever.
Like, I love going to
But
my
they came
friends.
through, I should mention. Like, if you
Oh,
look at that embroiderment on the napkin, I mean, they killed it.
Yeah, it was
They
really
killed it.
beautiful. So she kind of planted the seed, and I was like, okay, wait, like 38 it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And I mean, who's to say anybody's going to make it to their next birthday? So I'm not trying to, like, I don't have, like, this I'm doomed, like, mindset or mentality. Like, I'm here until I'm here. I don't know when it's going to be, but it is what it is. And so, like, I don't know my expiration date. You don't know your expiration date. Miracles happen every day. So, but it just felt really important to me to, like, not only celebrate reaching 38, but, like, everybody who has helped to get me and my family to 38. And, like, the support for not just, like, me personally and my friends, but, like, my children's community, my husband's community too. You know, it's not just something that I'm living through. It is my family. It's my children. Like, it impacts them all on a really major level. So, yeah. So, I mean, new goal is, like, 48.
Yeah. And we're going to get there.
Yeah.
No matter what it takes, even if you're like a bag of bones, just like marching forward. Like, I'm here. I made it. So with that, during the party, I had the chance to speak with all these people. And how do you continue to embrace this joy and celebration in your life in the face of so much uncertainty, especially with these surgeries coming up in a couple months?
I mean, everybody who is at the party, they all bring me so much joy. Like, when I was like, okay, I'm having a birthday party. I want to celebrate all of these people, like, who have been a part of my journey. Like, the list was so long.
Yeah, there were so many people there. It was fun. It was a good party.
And I could literally give you a story about how every person there, like, deserved to be invited because they've impacted my life or my family's life in some great way. And it didn't have to necessarily be a grand gesture. It's just constantly showing up and, like, creating that environment, you know, and giving us safety and dignity and belonging. Like, they all do that, whether they consciously think about it or not. Like, or they know maybe what's going on, you know, with, like, Bentley and Stellar, you know, like, or Michaela or whoever, like, their mom, like, they might not even know, like, the extent of things that are happening. But, like, there is just so much beauty in those moments of, like, people sharing in this human experience and loving others. And that brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah, knowing that you're all there to celebrate and connect. It's
Mhm.
that theme of interconnectedness that keeps coming up. And you've defied so many odds at this point. I mean, just a couple minutes ago, you were telling me all about, that near-death experience. And so naturally, it's a testament of resilience and hope. What does this birthday, and obviously we have another decade to go, and then some.
Plus.
What does that birthday signify for you in terms of legacy and this idea of resiliency that continues to show up in your life with?
I think I've had a lot of people, like, it was really good representation of how people contribute and serve others, like with me being the recipient.
Mhm.
And, I make a conscious effort to try to always, like, whether it's like a small random act of service or someone in major need, like, and sometimes I can give more, than other times of myself or how I show up for people, and that's okay. Like sometimes it could just be a text message, but like just continue to show up for people. Even like I find a lot of like it feels good to be like the person also serving and giving too.
Mhm.
And not just take.
Yeah.
And I hate that like there's times where other people need, service and love and their community just wrapping their arms around them and
Mhm.
helping them. I hate that any of us have to go through that.
Yeah.
But it's a part of life.
And it's best to sometimes just lean into it, like I need the help right now, and that's okay.
Accept it, like, and
Did you have a
appreciate
hard
it.
time getting to that point
Ugh.
of letting people help you?
I still do.
Valid, Miss Independent. I love it.
I still do. Like people are like, "What do you need? How can I help?" I'm like, "Girl, I don't know. I need so many things.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Want to see the hospital bill?
Yeah, right. I'm like, oh, I think, I think on that note too, though, it's so important. Like, people don't always like know how to ask. Like, just show up and do something.
Yeah.
Like, just go show up with your kids and pull the weeds or rake the leaves, or hey, I'm running to the store. Like,
what do you need?
Yeah. Like, don't wait for them to ask. Like, just like seize the moment. If there's an opportunity, like just grab it and go.
Yeah. I love that. Taking action rather than just looking like, oh, I could have done that. It's
Yeah.
always good to just take that step.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about anticipatory grief?
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with? I know you're familiar with that because you've been so open with your journey with EDS and how it shaped your life. As you faced this idea, especially with your husband, of anticipatory grief, of not knowing what to come next, and kind of having to see that through your family. How have you managed to stay grounded in the joy in that moment when you're uncertain of what could come tomorrow?
I think naturally it's easier for me to stay present in every moment. And I think maybe that comes with like part of like my free spirit, like my untamed, my wild.
Yeah, and the self-help books with learning about mindfulness and learning how to stay mindful in the moment.
Yeah. But I think for my husband, it is a lot harder for him to be able to do that. We went to Causey Reservoir this summer, and it was just me and him and our dog, and he got an inflatable kayak. It's like I didn't have to stand and like paddle as long, and he could do all the work, and I can help when I needed to. So it was like a way for us to stay on the water, like, but not on paddle boards. And he kind of babies me or babysit. He just worries like nonstop about me, and I'm like, I can paddle. Like,
I know how to hold a paddle.
Like, get away! Like,
hit him in the head.
Yeah. And he where I'm just like, we're laying in the boat in the middle of the reservoir, like the dog's laying on me. I think that's a theme.
Yeah.
They like
I think
me
that
for
dogs
some
are at peace
reason.
with you. Maybe that's who you were in a past life, and so they connect with that.
Yeah.
Maybe you were a golden retriever, and that's where the free spirit energy comes
Golden
from.
retriever energy. Totally. But we're like having this really beautiful moment, and I'm like enjoying the sun and soaking it up, and he is like just having the hardest time keeping it together and like staying in the moment, because he's gone to like, this could be the last time we do this. Like, I might not have her again next summer. And it's really hard for him to stay in those moments and appreciate it and have fun. And, so I find myself trying, and it's hard because I just have to let him go through what he's going
Yeah,
through.
it's grief. It's
Yeah.
living grief in the moment.
Exactly. But also trying to be like, well, babe, like, I get that that's your fear and that's valid. It's absolutely valid, but like, enjoy, like, let's
Yeah,
embrace
like I'm here.
this.
Look where we are. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely harder for him. It's hard for me to watch my family, more so him. Like, I see it mostly in him.
She's your partner.
Yeah, and I think my kids go through it too. It's just different levels. I think, they're maybe masking more. And I think they do pretty well and are really healthy with their coping mechanisms, but they don't ever openly talk about it. I think that they
Do you think
kind of
that makes it real for them if they acknowledge it to you?
probably, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they're, dealing with it in the quiet moments in their room or alone in the bathroom, like in the shower or something, or just keeping distracted. Like they're so busy with like school and sports and student council.
And the numbing works,
and it
but
totally
only works for so
does.
long. That's the scary thing.
Yeah.
I've been through that. And with your poetry, you talked about legacy as something etched in light. And how has your understanding of what that light represents evolved since the diagnosis? And has it influenced what you hope to leave behind for others?
That's so many questions.
That's a deep question.
Yeah. Like, let me try and like tie all that together.
It was the line, legacy is something etched in light.
Yeah. I think light is like, it is very real and representative in sunlight. Like, and that's probably one of the reasons why maybe that moment on Causey Reservoir was so hard for my husband, because in 2020, before my renal auto transplant, I was very, very, very ill. Could barely walk. I mean, he was having to carry me to the restroom. He was having to wash my hair for me, shower me. Like, it was really bad. And we would go for drives a lot, and he'd drive me up into the mountains, and I would just like be looking out the window, and I was just like, I wish you could see light, how I see light. As it's like the, grass is like blowing in the breeze and the light is pouring onto it, or like pouring onto my face, and how it feels. And like color and light is very different to me than it used to be, like almost more vibrant and warm.
That's fascinating. How was that? Like, what do you think the change was? Like, what was the catalyst that made you veer positively more than veering things as seeing things more gray and black and white as a contrast?
Because I think that's what life and death is.
You just are more appreciative of it now?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the parallels of our universes of life and death and what comes after here is very, very, it's a lot closer. I think it is here, like, I don't think any of my ancestors are far from me. Like, I know I have a huge spiritual posse and people looking out for me and protecting me and
carrying
guiding
you along
me.
one step at a time. Yeah. So in this poem, I don't think it's titled, but I'll read the paragraph. It says, on the operating table, life stage dimly lit, I danced with death in its silent, somber pit, a tango unseen beneath the moon's ethereal breath, light once mundane, now an artist's vivid brush, painting my world since death whispered a gentle hush. That is phenomenal writing. And you obviously are very much touched with that gift of being able to convey those complex words in such a beautiful manner. How has confronting mortality, I mean, we just talked a little bit about it with finding the light and things, but how has confronting mortality changed the way you experience these everyday moments?
I think that's like,
it's a tricky one because we were talking about your husband and like experiencing those little moments, but
I wish that they could have experienced death. I think it's like the scary unknown, right? Everyone's so afraid of death.
But it sounds like you aren't.
No. I mean, I am heartbroken thinking about the pain and grief that my family will go through. And like, I don't want to miss moments. Like, I don't want to miss my, kids graduating or getting married, having babies, going to college, like watching them just grow into like the humans and adults that they're going to be, and all the good and the, like, I don't want to miss any of that.
Yeah.
But then I have to take myself back and remind myself, like, I'm not going to. I'm just may not be present
Physically.
right. And like, it's the same with my own parents, who are in their 80s. Like, it makes me really sad to think like, oh my gosh, like one day I'm going to be an orphan, but it's like, no, like you're not, like, they're just not here in the same capacity. I think having had, that like my brush with death and having sat on the other side and sitting with death like so closely for so long and feeling light and feeling so much love and outpouring from the other side, has really made me understand and realize how beautiful it is, and I think the further away I've gotten from that experience, like the more human my brain kind of comes back to, and it gets a little bit harder. I mean, like this past year in dealing, because I've been in like this recent kind of downfall since January. So it's almost been a whole year that I've been dealing with like stuff. Like, to an extreme again. And
physically.
Not really like in a manageable place. And I'm like, I almost in a sense crave like that embrace, and not that I want to die, but like it felt so calm and like reassured that it's all going to be okay. Like, even though you are on death's door, like arms are wrapped around you and it's okay.
They're going to embrace and make that transition easy. And you'll still be, you know that you can come visit. And
in some sense, like whatever that is.
Don't know how yet, but you have that hope that you'll be able to send signs or something of that sort.
Oh my gosh, there are signs all around us.
Can you tell me a bit about that? I find signs fascinating, especially when on the other side.
Okay, so when I passed over and Dave was like, babe, I said all that stuff. Like, you weren't dreaming like that. I mean, he was like ghostly white, like jaw on the floor. Like,
he was in the car.
He wasn't even in the car. Yeah, he was nowhere near me. I was really trying to like unwrap like what had happened. Like, how is this even possible? Like trying to understand what happened. And so I was at an appointment, and like my friend was telling me about how she had gone to a medium, and this medium told her things there's no way that they could have ever known about. Like, there's just no way. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like, send me their information. I actually am kind of interested, but like, I was never interested in going to a medium
or psychic, because usually it's exploited for.
Yeah.
So if someone actually does have that gift, it's very rare. And how do you know?
Exactly. And so when I booked an appointment with her, I did it under an alias. Like, I
Taylor?
did it. I don't remember, probably. That's like my go-to is Taylor. I like didn't follow her on social media. I actually blocked her social media for me.
So she couldn't look into you.
She had no idea, because I was like very skeptical. And
Naturally.
I was like, let's see if you're the real deal. And my husband's grandfather had actually just passed. And so I was like, you're not coming with me, because if she's the real deal, like, I don't, like, your grandfather's going to come through, and that's not who we're trying to talk to.
I'm here for myself.
Totally. I was like, I need to understand
you have your own
what happened.
Come next time. I'm dealing with my own stuff today.
Exactly. So, and I actually wrote about her in one of those poems, and she was like, it was so funny, because when I first got there, she was like in a state of shock, and it was kind of a weird encounter. And I was like, what is happening? Like, this is so weird. And she's like, I am so sorry. I just have to say it. She's like, I have never been intimidated by anyone I've done a reading for.
Really?
She said, I am so intimidated by you. And I feel like you are supposed to be like the teacher.
Interesting.
And I'm supposed to be learning from you. And I was like, well, that's funny, because
I'm paying you to tell me.
One is like, I literally have never been to a medium. Like, I'm very intuitive, but like, I don't have abilities. Like, He was like, I don't know what that means. And she was like, I have never been with someone like, you know, whose vibrations are so high and that's where we got like the spiritual posse from. She was like, you have so many like spirits with you right now. She's like, I've never had like encountered this before.
Gosh.
And like, I just felt so loved and embraced in that moment.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was like very like tight-lipped because I was also very skeptical still. So I didn't really tell her about any of my health stuff, like what was going on, that I crossed over, like this experience I had and what I'm trying to unravel and figure out. And so she, you know, was like doing this reading for me and she's telling me these things and I'm like, this makes no sense. Like about, there's like a man, he's very paternal. And immediately I was like, oh my gosh, this is Dave's grandfather that just died.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to be kidding
He's still
me.
close to the veil.
I was so
on.
frustrated. And so I get in the car and I'm like, none of this made sense to me. And I get in the car and I was like kind of disappointed. And I left and called Dave. I'm like, your freaking grandfather came through. Like exactly what I was trying to avoid. And he was like, what? Like, tell me what she said. And so, you know, I was telling him and he goes, babe, that's not my grandfather. Or he's like, it's my grandfather, but not the one that just died. It was his dad's dad.
Oh.
And he had actually, so he, like one of the things that I was like, I don't understand is like, she's like, I have like a pain in my chest, like a really like
The medium?
intense pain in my chest. Yeah. And she had talked about guns and coins and some other things. And so I'm telling him, and I didn't even know any of this, but his grandfather had actually committed suicide by shooting himself in the chest.
And so she was feeling a physical manifestation of that?
Yeah. But his nickname is Fat. He's not fat. He's super tall and thin. This is back in like 30s or 40s, I think. He was essentially starving to death.
Wow. It was during, okay. Like during the Great Depression?
No, like physically. Like he was having like health problems.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And they diagnosed him with cancer, but it was kind of just like a blanket. Like, we don't know what's wrong with you, but this is really presenting as what we know of today as cancer.
Yes.
But like, I don't think they really had a type of cancer or anything like that. They were just like,
it's still evolving.
Yeah. It's not, cancer treatment wasn't what it is today now. Yeah. And so, he wasn't able to eat, like a lot of the same physical symptoms that I'm having. And so I'm convinced that he has EDS or had EDS.
Interesting. And this is your husband's great-grandfather?
Grandfather.
Okay, so this is your husband.
Who has been gone. His dad's in his 70s and died when his dad was like a little boy. He's probably been dead for like 70 years or so.
Wow. And if it's in your husband, how do you think that manifested?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm just thinking because it's
so
a
our
genetic
children, our children, it is. It's genetic. But like we don't have any children together.
Okay.
So our children come from our previous marriages.
Do you think that are there like pre-tests where you can see if your children are prone to it or not?
No.
Wow, that's kind of scary.
Yeah. So
especially if it comes from both sides of the family with the grandfather, and then like knowing that you have it as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, like we don't have like some of my children, I see it presenting in them, but like Dave and I don't have children together.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, like there's no like genetic testing for it, like in utero or anything like in that they do.
And they can't test for it now either?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how we discovered like that I have the specific type of EDS that I do, okay. But not all forms of EDS. Like I don't think they're all, it's just not all like figured out yet, you know?
And so it won't manifest in the kids until later, basically?
No, it could start when they're younger.
Interesting.
Yeah, even as babies, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we got off on a tangent there.
Yeah, totally. Sorry, it happens all the time.
No, but that was just such an interesting story that I'm like, wow.
What was the question? I'm sure I
trying
can
to
wrap
find
it,
it.
tie it all back together, and I like had a plan to, and then
Oh
I
yeah,
forgot.
how has confronting mortality changed the way you experience life's small
Okay.
everyday moments? How did we get there?
I have no idea. How was I planning to wrap all this back together? Good luck editing that one.
I know, we're gonna be like, so point A, point B, how are we gonna... I'll probably just use it as a completely separate tangent just to go down the line with, because that's too interesting not to
Oh
include.
gosh, then people are gonna be like, she's a little loony. I'd be like, yeah, I know.
Smaller moments to mediums to
I'm like, I know it is a little loony. I would have totally
it's
thought
okay.
so too.
It's the best stuff. I just think that stuff's interesting.
We're so connected to like the other side and our ancestors.
Whether you
like,
want to acknowledge it or not,
Mhm.
it's there.
It
And
is.
that's why legacy is important.
It is.
Um,
Yeah, sorry, ask me the question again.
Well, I'll just move on and see and go from there.
I'm gonna watch that back and be like, oh, actually, I know how I was gonna tie that all together.
Just put it in the comment section, B2W, with this story I meant to. So this whole segment that we're doing right now, I call it my living legacy segment, because I truly believe you create your legacy while you're alive with every action you make. And what does that mean to you? Like a living legacy, what does that mean to you? And how can we all strive to live in a way that reflects that?
I hope that my actions have impacted others in a sense that brings kindness and patience and love and acceptance, like a sense of belonging, you know, and I hope I've influenced others to show up in the same way that I try, and I'm not perfect, but like I try to show up for everybody. I hope that that's, you know.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And I guess the last question I have, for those who love you and will carry on your legacy, do you have anything else besides showing up that you would want to leave with them as they continue to honor your life and impact even now?
Yeah. Always have an open heart and open mind. Don't take anything too seriously. Like, don't lose your sense of humor or your ability to laugh.
Yeah, because laughter is what gets you through the worst circumstances in life. The
Yeah.
worst of the worst.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. This
Thank
is
you
so
so
fun. I really
much.
enjoyed this. Is there anything else you want to share as we wrap this up?
No, I mean, no. Like, thank you
Thank
for
you. EDS
for
is
this.
an important thing to look into. I highly suggest looking into it if you haven't. It's fascinating, but it's also very not well known about.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of progress we still have to make in the medical field, and I love that you're
Yeah.
raising awareness to
It's a lot of
like
things
that.
happening with stem cell and CRISPR and genetic modification right now.
CRISPR is crazy.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
We're gonna go do that next in the garage. We're gonna figure out like how to make ourselves like glow in the dark like lightning bugs.
That's crazy.
Jellyfish.
Well, thank you, and we'll see you again soon. I guess I don't know how to wrap this up. I've never done this before, but
That's a wrap.
that's
Ready?
a wrap. Cut.